and start. Oops, we've got a few more friends joining us here. Give everyone a second to get situated. If you wouldn't mind putting your name in the chat, helps me take attendance. Thank you so much, everybody. All right, we will go ahead and get started. Thanks for being here today. I know some of us had a really busy weekend at Alkake Classic. I had a great time seeing some of you. I can't wait to hear what the rest of you did this weekend at the end at story time, at Talk Story Time. Today, so last week's Healthy Habits Challenge, remember we were going to stay hydrated. We were going to practice sun safety. We were going to stay active. We're going to practice water safety. We were going to talk about nutrition, or we're going to practice healthy, balanced eating. And last week we talked about growing our mental health. Would anyone like to share what healthy habit they practiced this week? You can go ahead and unmute if you would like to share. Yeah, Kiana, go ahead.
I went to the beach yesterday, so I did put sunscreen and drink lots of water and stay out the ocean.
Awesome. I love it. You did so many healthy habits. Great job. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, go ahead, Gilbert.
This weekend I went charity walk with my teammates also, and I had fun.
Great. So you practiced growing your mental health by talking to people and hanging out with your teammates. Great. Thank you for sharing, Gilbert.
You're welcome. Anytime.
All right. Would anyone else like to share what healthy habit they practiced? It's okay if not.
Okay, yeah, I will. So, of course, been putting on sunblock, and especially before getting ready to go and go play soccer.
Okay.
And for staying active, I played a lot of soccer.
Great. Thank you for sharing. Okay. Does anyone else want to share before we talk about our health corner today? Kylan, you ate lots of watermelon. That's great. That's very good. That's a great fruit to have, especially it's in season in the summertime. Anybody else? You don't have to share, but if you want to, now's the time. No? Okay. We will, got lots of chats. Oh, okay. You went, yep, you had fun at bocce, Seth. That's great. You're staying active. Kyle, you're writing stories. That's great. That's great for your mental health. Take some you time. Write some stories. That's awesome. You guys did great this week. All righty. So we're going to move on, but you can always share at the end at Talk Story Time, or there will be plenty of opportunities to participate. So we're nearing the end of our summer series for Health Corner. I think next week is our last week, so we're going to do a wrap up next week. But today, our last one before our wrap up is going to be healthy summer food swaps. All right, so what type of food do we want to be eating? We talked about it 2 weeks ago. Does anyone remember?
Yep, I can drink. You can drink a lot of smoothies.
Okay, that's an example, but does anyone remember what type of food we want to be eating? Starts with a W. Kiana, you want to take a guess?
Like a meat.
Meat, yep, that's a food group. We want protein, right? Yep. Okay, lots in the chat here. Vegetables, yep, these are all great. We want to be eating whole foods, right? We want to be eating things that come from the earth. We don't want to be eating lots of processed foods, right? Because those are have a lot of added chemicals and things that we don't want too much of in our body. So whole foods, because they have not been modified, offer us more nutrients, right? Nutrients and vitamins, things that our bodies need to thrive and survive. And especially as athletes, we want to be fueling appropriately to make sure we have lots of energy and we're supporting our immune system. We're helping our bones grow strong, helping our muscles grow big. So we really want to be focused on eating whole foods. So for whole foods, just as a reminder, we want to think of something that we look at and recognize as something that grows in nature, right? So if we think about like broccoli or an avocado, you can grow that, right? Or a fish or even a chicken, that we can see it. It comes from nature, but you can't really go out in nature and find a bag of potato chips, right? That's something that a human being made and is processed. Okay, so we want to focus on whole foods. All right. Does anyone remember what our plate should look like? What is this red section? It makes up about half our plate. Or, sorry, about a quarter of our plate. Does anyone remember what food group? Yeah, Kiana.
Deli.
Dairy. Okay, dairy is on this one. It's not the red one, but that's a great guess. Dairy is our blue one. Does anyone remember what the red one is? Makes up about a quarter of our plate.
I think I'm gonna take a guess. Is it fruits?
Yes, it is. It is fruits. Thank you, Nicole.
You're welcome.
All right. And what do we think this green one is? Yeah, Kailani.
Vegetables.
Yep, that's exactly right. Oops, Kiana answered dairy there for us, and it is vegetables. What about this orange one? Does anyone remember what it is? We're building our plate here. Oh, there's lots in the chat. Yeah, Gilbert, it's exactly right. Protein. Oh, that's great. Sorry. Whoops, got ahead of myself, but the last one's protein. All right, so that's what we want our plate to look like at every meal, as much as possible, okay? So these are all the benefits. We've seen this particular slide before 2 weeks ago, but this is just a refresher. Because of the way that this plate is made up, it offers us all a nice balanced nutrient palette for our bodies to build all the components that it needs to survive. Good stuff. All right. Do we want lots of variety in our food? Does anyone remember? Do we want to be eating the same thing over and over again, or do we want to be switching it up? And why? Anyone want to take a guess? Yeah, Kailani?
Switch it up.
Yeah, exactly. We want to be eating lots of things, right? Lots of different things. We want to eat the rainbow. Remember, we want really colorful plates because every different food offers us different nutrients. And so we want a good variety of nutrients to help our bodies, right? So without balanced nutrition, our bodies are more prone to disease, infection, fatigue, and low performance. So we want to make sure we're eating lots of different things, lots of different whole foods that will help us do really well just in life. All right, now trying new foods can be really fun. When we think about eating a variety of food, eating the rainbow, we might want to get creative and try new foods or new recipes. And new foods means new nutrients, right? So does anyone have a food in mind that they've always wanted to try? Maybe you think of something, you're like, oh, I really want to try that, but I've never had it before. Does anyone have one they want to share? No one has a new food they haven't had but always wanted to try.
Cause I know it's green, but I've been eating kiwis.
You've been eating kiwis, or you want to try kiwi?
No, I've been eating them a long time, and I'm still eating them.
Great, that's great. That's awesome. Does anyone have a new food that they've never had before but always wanted to try? Kyle, you've never had poi. Poi is a good, cool nutrient. Oh, are you trying to? Okay, hold on. You gotta unmute if you're trying to share with us. There you go.
A long time ago, I was in variety school and
Uh-huh.
I dislike poi.
Oh, you didn't like
most.
poi back then. Got it. All right. Well, maybe give poi a try, you know? If you didn't like it back then, maybe you'll like it now if you try it again. Oh, Seth, plant-based kimchi fried rice. Yum. Sounds good. Gilbert, kiwi and strawberries. Yum. All right. Well, I want to challenge you all to try a new food this week. Doesn't matter what it is, but if you've never had it, give it a try. Get creative. All right. So this leads to our next topic, and that is that food can be a really great way to get creative. Remember last week we talked about exercising our mental health. One of the ways that we can improve our mental health is actually by trying new things. And food can be a really great way to do so. Learning to cook a new recipe or use a new recipe or use a new ingredient in your food. This can all be really stimulating for our brains, and it can make us feel really accomplished when we figure it out. So here are some fun snack ideas for you all if you're in a little rut. Lots of whole foods here, right? We've got some berries, we've got some veggies, even a watermelon pizza that looks super fun, right? You put celery and peanut butter. Lots of cool different ways to eat some of our favorite foods. And learning to cook or learning to do some food swaps, which is what we're going to talk about today, can actually be a great way to exercise our creativity while we still get to eat our favorite foods, just with a little bit more nutritious value for our bodies. So believe it or not, there are lots of whole foods that can be swapped for processed foods. Making food swaps can help provide our bodies with the nutrients that we need while we still get to enjoy our favorite food, right? So here are just a couple. We'll talk more in depth about some of them too, but instead of sour cream, we could do Greek yogurt. I bet you wouldn't even taste the difference or know the difference, but Greek yogurt offers us a couple more nutrients than sour cream, lots more protein in there, offers us a more nutritious plate. But remember, and this is really important, it's all about balance. There's room for all food in our diet. We want to be conscious of what we're eating so that we can help our bodies perform at our best. All right, so let's get started and talk about a couple healthy food swaps. The first one is an easy one, smoothies versus milkshakes. So instead of having a milkshake, we can try, which only has 2 food groups, we can try and create our own smoothie, right? So if we break down the nutrients in each of these items, in a milkshake, what is there? There's dairy, right? Because there's milk or ice cream, but a lot of times we have a lot of added sugar. In the dairy, there will be some protein, versus if we do a smoothie, you can get some fruit in there, you can sneak some vegetables in there. You can add a little bit of dairy if you maybe put in some Greek yogurt, and that will also give you some protein, right? So there's lots more of a nutrient profile in a smoothie than there is a milkshake, which is why it typically will be a better option. As a little tip, if you add some spinach to a fruit smoothie to get in some veggies and some extra vitamins, you can barely even taste it. If you want to put in some peanut butter, you can add a little bit of protein there too. Our next food swap is a frozen banana ice cream. Has anyone ever made this? No, you've never made it? It's actually really fun. I made it a couple weeks ago. Basically what you do is you freeze bananas and you blend it up, and the texture becomes just like ice cream, and it can be a really great substitute. Bananas have a lot of potassium, which help fuel us, especially as athletes. If anyone's ever had a muscle cramp, it can be caused by not enough potassium. So having banana as a dessert, can be a great fuel for our muscles. We can freeze some bananas. If we blend them with some cocoa powder or peanut butter, it would be just like a Reese's peanut butter cup, which is a really nice treat. And if we break down our nutrients here, in ice cream, there's typically dairy, there's some protein, but there's also a lot of added sugar, right? In banana ice cream, we get fruit. If we add a little bit of milk to blend our ice cream, we'll get dairy and we'll get protein, but we won't have all those added sugars that we want to keep to a minimum. And the best part about making our own food and making food swaps is we can make them completely customizable to what we want. So maybe you don't like chocolate ice cream, that's okay. When you blend your bananas, you don't have to put cocoa powder in them. You could put maybe some strawberries to add an extra fruit and make strawberry ice cream. Well, strawberry banana ice cream, I guess. It can be really, really fun. All right, so our next food swap for my savory folks are oven baked kale or sweet potato chips instead of regular potato chips. Typically in regular potato chips, we have a lot of saturated fats, a lot of carbohydrates, and a lot of added chemicals because it's processed. Instead, potato chips, believe it or not, are actually really easy to make at home. All you have to do is get a potato, thinly slice it up, and put it in the oven with some olive oil and bake them. And in that case, you'll have some vegetables, some carbohydrates, but you won't get a lot of these saturated fats that we don't want. And if you want, you could even throw in some kale instead. I love kale chips. I think they're crunchy and delicious. I highly recommend if you want to give it a try. Maybe that could be your new food item that you try. Yeah, Kyle, mashed potatoes. Yep, you could definitely mash some sweet potatoes. That would be great. Kiana, you love smoothies. That's awesome. Sorry, guys, I haven't been very good about checking the chat today, huh? Yeah, exactly. These are all great suggestions. Awesome. All right, our fourth idea is zucchini or cucumber noodles. I know I love pasta. I love ramen. I love all those great, yummy, delicious foods. But it can be a lot of carbohydrates, so a lot of grains all at once. And remember, we want a really balanced plate, right? So a good way to sneak in a quarter of our plate to be veggies is to actually substitute half of our pasta or noodles with zucchini or cucumber noodles. We can make it, if we make it half and half, then we add some vegetables. That will be really great for our digestive system, gives us some extra vitamins, some extra fiber. Has anyone ever tried zucchini or cucumber noodles? No one? All right. Well, we've got some great new recipe ideas for you folks for this week then. Have to give them a try and let me know how you like them. Number 5 is the idea to swap carrots and hummus and chips and dip. If you're craving something crunchy, you could try having some carrots or cucumbers and hummus or celery and dip instead of chips. A lot of times when we crave something crunchy, carrots or cucumbers will do the trick instead of the chips, and we'll get some extra veggies in there, some good protein, and overall will leave us feeling a little bit lighter. I love to have carrots and hummus as my afternoon snack. It can be a great way to fuel before or after sports practice. It won't leave you feeling kind of icky from all the oil that is in potato chips. Yeah, Kyle, celery is great too. I like to actually do peanut butter and celery, and it kind of, when I was little, my mom used to put raisins in the peanut butter. We would call it ants on a log because they look like little ants stuck on a tree branch. So that's another fun one. Our 6th swap is sparkling water with fruit versus soda. Sometimes we really want something bubbly. I know I want something bubbly every once in a while, but soda is not the best for us because it's really, really processed. So it has a lot of chemicals and a lot of added sugar. And instead, right, we want to stay hydrated. Soda can dehydrate us because of all the sugar in it. So instead of soda, we can try having a sparkling water or a seltzer, and we can add some fruit cubes. A fun tip about this is if you cut up some fruit and put it in the freezer, and then you put it in your sparkling water, you don't have to use ice. You can use
And Michelle, you know, I've been drinking those sparkling waters. We have all sparkling waters out in the garage. Has all kinds of fruits in them,
Mhm.
in a fizzy, but it's still good.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, exactly. So we can, if we freeze our fruit and we put it in our sparkling water, we can use them as fruit ice cubes, and it'll flavor our sparkling water a little bit too. So in regular soda, we have a lot of sugar, a lot of chemicals that we don't necessarily want to be putting in our body all that often. Soda every once in a while isn't the worst thing in the world, but we want to be really mindful. So instead, if we substitute with seltzer water and fruit, we get extra hydration. It's all that good stuff. Our seventh tip is substituting mayonnaise or butter with avocado. So avocado is obviously a fruit or vegetable, depending on who you talk to, but it has a lot of unsaturated fat in it. And unsaturated fat is a lot better than saturated fat. It also has a little bit of protein, some fiber in it. So we can take something like mayonnaise or like butter and substitute it with something like avocado. We'll still get that creamy goodness that we love from the mayonnaise or the butter, but it's just a little bit more nutritious for us. So I highly recommend giving that a try. I love avocado toast, so it can be really delicious breakfast. All right, our eighth swap is swapping some sour cream or cream cheese with Greek yogurt. Yeah, Kiana, sandwich with avocado. That's great. I like to have avocado toast in the mornings before I come to work. All right, so sour cream and cream cheese can be delicious, but it can also have a lot of those saturated fats that we just talked about with mayonnaise and butter. So instead, if we swap them out for some non-fat plain Greek yogurt, we will have a more balanced choice. Non-fat Greek yogurt has a lot of protein in it, which is really great for us. It has a little bit of dairy, and it actually has some probiotics, which will help us with our digestion. So it's a really, really great ingredient to use, and it's really versatile, right? You could have non-fat Greek yogurt with some fruit, and it would be more of a sweet breakfast, or you could substitute it for sour cream on maybe like a burrito bowl, or have it with some dip and substitute it and make it more of a savory. It can be super, super versatile. So it's a great ingredient to use. All right, number 9, swapping out fruit juice with actual fruit. So fruit juice, even when it's 100% natural without any added sugar, still contains a lot of natural sugars that we don't necessarily want in excess. So 1 cup of orange juice, right? If it's made with 3 oranges, it's going to have all the sugar of 3 oranges without necessarily the same satisfaction of 3 oranges, right? When we eat an orange, we typically feel a lot more full than when we drink a glass of orange juice. And that's because the orange itself has lots of fiber, has just a couple more nutrients that will keep us more satisfied for longer. So it's better when we can, to have actual fruit instead of juice. So instead of drinking orange juice, try having an orange, or instead of drinking apple juice, try just eating an apple and see how you feel. You could always, with apples, I like to eat mine with peanut butter. It offers some of those good unsaturated fats and some extra protein. So that's a little idea for you all too. That could be a good pre or post exercise snack. All right, and now just to end this snack swap or food swap off, let's talk about some snack swaps, because I love snacks, especially in the afternoon before dinner. So some great ideas: instead of just like a bag of chips or something, you could have some edamame. It has really great protein, great nutrients in that, good vitamins. Yeah, you could have some red or green grapes. If you freeze grapes in the freezer, it becomes like a little dessert. I love the texture of frozen grapes, and they're almost like little mini popsicles. You could have a handful of nuts or make your own trail mix. There are lots of things.
Or you can do apples, or can cut them up to apple sliced.
Yep, you could do that. All right, so don't be afraid to get creative at snack time. Challenge yourself to create a new snack that you enjoy using mostly or all whole foods. That might be a little bit challenging, but I know you all can do it. So I want you to try and create something exciting that you're excited to eat using mostly whole foods. So not a lot or none or not a lot of processed foods. All right, so that is the end of our food swaps that we're going to talk about today. Does anyone have any questions? No questions. That's okay. All right, so our healthy habits, we're adding on more. We're almost done with our summer series. Next week will be our last summer series. health corner. So we will wrap it up and we will talk about all of our challenges and how they've hopefully made an impact on our lives. And then moving into the fall, we'll talk more about different fall related topics. So our first ever healthy habit challenge was about staying hydrated, right? You all are doing that. I know we talk about it every week. Our next healthy habit challenge is about sun safety. I know you all practiced that this weekend at Alpaque or at the beach or just in your day-to-day life. And then we talked about staying active, right? Super important to stay active. And then we talked about water safety. When we're near the water, we need to be practicing water safety. And then we talked about nutrition and just kind of eating whole foods. And then last week, we talked about mental health, which is super, super important. Now, this week, our healthy habit challenge is to try a new food at least 2 times this week or make a healthy recipe swap. So you can choose. I am so excited. I want you guys to get really, really creative with this. The world is your oyster, but remember, we want to be focusing on whole foods, right? So we're going to try some new whole foods or try some new healthy recipe swaps this week. And next week, we're going to share. Okay. Per usual, if anyone has any health questions, any Halio Malleola questions or ideas, any song requests, you can email me. You know where to find me. Oops. Oh, yeah. And if you want to watch this health corner back or any of our previous health corners, you can go to our YouTube. Our friend Jennifer here in the office is uploading them for us. So we are almost all caught up on our uploads. Thank you to everyone who watches. And on Wednesday, we will be working out with Coach Erin. It's going to be a fun time. Okay. So awesome. Ian, you're subscribed to the channel. Thank you for subscribing. That's awesome. You'll never miss an upload. All right, so on Wednesday, we will work out with Coach Erin, and I will go ahead and stop sharing. I will stop recording and we can start talk story time, okay?